Hello. Let's work on some PCBs, because I have like, I don't even know. How many? Six PCBs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 PCBs to design in the next 6 weeks or so. Hey, Skojo, how's it going? Did you get your package? When is the... I don't have my phone in here. When's the delivery date? I feel like I just deleted these. Why are they still here? Oops, trash. Some document is in use and can't be used. Is that true? The thing oh gosh, that's annoying. I was trying to add those devices to... I generally like Fusion for PCB design, generally speaking, but man, some stuff really is not good. And I think some of the not goodness is just like inherited from Eagle, but like, where is this? Where is this? You're saying you're used somewhere. I don't believe you. Do I have to, is it because one is used in the other or something? Huh? Huh? Arriving within the hour? That's exciting. I hope you like it. It is just a silly thing. You're under no obligation to use it, but I hope it is an object that you enjoy. Why? Why do you say this is in use? I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Don't believe you. I think I went through like one slight incorrect step. Document is in use and can't be used. I don't actually believe you. The problem is that maybe it got crammed into some other library. That would be really annoying. There are a lot of things I really enjoy about Fusion. There are a lot of things I deeply dislike about it. Where could you be used? Document is in use and cannot be deleted. What if I just close Fusion? Let me open it again. We'll see. You'll probably use it? Okay, thanks. I kind of forgot that I did this, which is not good. I don't like it when I do this. I'm only in recent years I'm learning to buy things. And I did buy this thing, which is cool. This like really beautiful, look at the color of it. I love it. This beautiful pad, I got at some point to maybe use for Sudoku. Then I was like, I'm gonna make my own. But I paid money for this and it just sits in that box. But as like an object, the design of it is really good. I like the materials too. Like, it is really, it's really something. I want my stuff that I make to like, so it's got some weight to it. It's got some heft in there. I need to start using it just because it's beautiful and because this looks like a little guy. Got a little guy there. I was thinking, I don't know the appetite, but I feel like a number of people who like brilliant Sudoku might be interested in some Sudoku pads. And so I had some notion of like doing a run of them. Like, I don't know how really, through Kickstarter or something, and then like bringing them to people at SudokuCon, or I don't know exactly. I feel like I could do it. The thing is, you could hype it up. Oh, so the thing, it would never be a money-making venture because I don't know what I'm doing, so everything takes too much time. But I will say, if enough people were interested, I could probably have the keys made instead of doing them like printing them one off, because it's unfortunately difficult to get the keys, to print the keys and have them look good. And if I could, you know, I guess I could try to run the numbers, and if X number of people were interested, it might justify having custom keycaps printed, and then I can still do the enclosures and PCBs, I think. I mean, I would definitely do the PCBs. The enclosures, even at that point, I might just have printed in China from the same company that does the PCB design. Oh, let me delete you. Let's do it. Move to trash. Come on, buddy. Okay. This is not exciting or fun, this part of the stream. I don't know if any of the part of the stream will be fun. I'm trying a thing that I used to do, which was use streaming occasionally as like an accountability tool to make me sit and do things. But it's fun. PCB design is fun. I like PCB design. This is a bummer because I did find the exact part that I wanted. Oh boy. Was it you? No, oh, it's in my DigiKey cart. I got it. Oh, it was pretty close. I'm sorry I haven't been joining streams lately. I haven't been watching any Twitch lately at all, actually. Just watching things that end up on YouTube. Okay, which one do we like? This one has isolated ground, and I don't think I care about that. The version that I actually have in my cart, I don't think the isolated ground matters. Let's do this person. Okay, unfortunately, this project, this like process sucks. Importing things from McMaster is so nice in Fusion. This sucks, and it's not exactly the fault of the plugin. I think they're just trying to make it work. But what's going on at work? Is it a good busy season kind of thing, or is it a not ideal busy? Okay, so library to save my part. I want in this PCB library, it's going to open everything. It's going to do a bunch of weird stuff. I have to manually position this, which is annoying. Like this, it feels like this should be better in my opinion. No, we want components. We want that component. We want the origin to be this little loop. We want the target to be that little loop. Something didn't work. Component is you. This loop. Target point. This loop. Is that correct? I should have captured that, but oh well. That appears to be okay. So now I click finish here. Save. User saved. That looks like that's where that goes. I hope this put this in a place that is sane and not somewhere insane, because that would be annoying. Where did you get put? Show in location? It's not where that goes. Oh well. Move. All this management stuff sucks because everything is stored in the cloud, which is the worst part of all of this. This is not how I would want to organize things. Your employees have zero availability. Oh, bummer. So you're just having to like fill in employee time. That doesn't sound fun. Okay. Is this the tip? And this is the ring and this is the sleeve? Don't know. I do know that I have to save this. Save. Okay. So now I can go do the thing that should not be that hard. Go to the PCB design. This PCB is pretty close, although there's a major thing I'm considering changing about it. Okay, so we have a new boop. Now we have this guy. Hey, come here. So what's the convention here? Or a sleeve? Gosh. Oh no. Look at the data sheet. I'm sorry to hear that. That sounds not fun to have to like run the place and like run it at an administrative level, but also run it at a like employee level. Where is... Okay, I almost doxed you. Well, I wasn't going to show your address, but I don't know if you want your city name on stream. I'm not actually familiar with where that is in the state. I used to live in that state, but I lived in Brooklyn, and as you know, everywhere in the New York area, it's like the rest of the state doesn't exist. Okay, north of Albany. Schenectady. used to have a friend in Albany who I've not visited for so many years. I wonder if she's still there. Rochester area. Oh, am I looking at the wrong thing? Wait, where am I? Wait, you're in the Rochester area. That's a different place. Oh, between Syracuse and Buffalo. Okay, that's weird. I thought I typed in your city name, but maybe I did not do that. Never been. Oh, there's your city. I'm sorry. I misspelled it. I see it. I see it. Southeast of Rochester. I've never been to Rochester. I've never been to Buffalo either. I've never been to Toronto. Maybe it's time. Just head north from Pittsburgh. I've never had reason to be there. I would like to go to Toronto. There were some times where I was considering trying to find some contract work in Toronto, but did not do it. Okay, what does this mean? What is this thing? What is the... Okay, what is this? This is this guy. 1 is the sleeve. 3 is the ring. 2 is the tip. That is not what I would expect. Oh, is the idea that the audio jack goes in this way. I see. Okay, so 1 is definitely sleeve. So this is sleeve, ring, tip. Sleeve, ring, tip. And I forget which is which. I think sleeve is always ground. Sleeve is ground. So I said sleeve is number 1, right? So when you have made billions of dollars as an escape room designer and owner, and you need to commission some custom PCBs for it, or really custom contraptions. All these PCBs go into contraptions. So we said ground is definitely sleeve. So, right? That's pin 1. That's sleeve. Sleeve is always ground. I'm not trusting you, Gemini, but I think that's actually true. Why are you showing a golf club? Okay, yeah. Tip, ring, sleeve. Right, tip. The sleeve is ground. Ring is right. Ring is right. Let's remember that. Ring is right. Ring is number 3. Ring is right. So we're saying this is the right channel. Wish it would remember the orientation. And then this is the tip. Verify that. 2 is tip. 2 is tip. Tip is left. I'm a fan of contraptions. I just got an email last night that I'm excited about, but a little daunting. I have this installation that I've been working on that is installed, but is malfunctioning, and hopefully will be done next week. At the Pittsburgh airport, there's a possibility that there's a school in Florida that won't spawn, and that would be fun, but also scary, because at least the airport is in Pittsburgh, so if something goes wrong, someone from the museum can go there. If it's in Florida and something goes wrong, yikes. That's not right at all. That's not what that's called. Left channel? No, it's called Audio L. Everyone knows that. Okay, that's the tip. Coming from this direction, inside, you slide it in here. This is the sleeve. That's the ring for right. Okay, we feel good about this. And then we have to just lay it on the PCB. So we also need what? This feller's gonna go up here. Okay. Somewhere. The thing a consideration I am not decided on. I wonder what the right... Like, is it standard to have the jack stick out like past the board? You kind of expect the metal part to stick out, right? Are they mounting? Is that how things work? Do you expect that? Do you expect that to stick out slightly? I think you would. Yeah, like look at SparkFun's breakout. That's bad image. Thanks for that. Not helpful. Oh my gosh, could you just show me another view? You're killing me. Yeah, okay, so they have the little nubbin stick out past the board. And so I'm willing to have perhaps have a nubbin stick out. Reasonable? These I think are purely structural. Sleeve in the middle and then the left and right channel, which makes, that's nice that it is visibly the left and right. That's good. I've started doing a bit more, like so many things I've worked on at the museum. I've done all the software design and visual design, and then often done like the electronics hardware design, but have worked with someone else at the museum for the for the design of the casework, although I've done some, but the design of the casework and the design of the particularly mechanical design, like designing mechanical systems. Very often, like I'll build a prototype and then someone who really knows what they're doing does the actual design. But I've started doing some more mechanical design. That's not thick enough trace. And it's scary because I don't really know what I'm doing, but people in the museum have been helpful. But like the more... I'm really interested in it. Like, I would really like to get good at... Why are you 6 mil? Not millimeters even, mil. Thousandths of an inch. Route. I said 12. Probably doesn't need to be 12, but I want it to be 12. What are you doing? Okay. Not always the most cooperative software. So anyway, I'm definitely trying to learn more in that realm. Is this spacing right? Hope so. Okay. So now if we do this, it should have a jack, hopefully. And then the thing we will be missing is... That looks wild. But okay. Guess I could go change the color if I cared to do so. But that exists. So I am missing, annoyingly, 2 diodes next to the MOSFETs that are just little protection guys. So are we actually saying this is true, that we want to pull both of those to ground with a TVS diode? I don't really want to do that, but... I guess I will. And then these both need to be grounded. Yep. And we have to cram them somewhere. More. These are transient voltage suppression diodes. Those are for if somebody shuffles around the carpet and then walks up and touches something, and you have like 30,000 volts for a microsecond or whatever. Because that's bad. You don't want that. Oopsie. Okay, there's plenty in this to clean up. This is for the prototyping session, and so at a certain date, I will clean everything up for final work. Okay, so now if I do this, we should have a bunch of diodes all over the entire place. Those belong to you. There's so much in terms of like labeling and stuff that I have to do, but not concerned at the moment. So where is, do we have ground over here anywhere? We just have ground from a via. Feels weird to do this, but okay. Let's say we're going to have ground on the bottom of all of them. That's not where that goes, by the way. So these people could live somewhere. Not 100% sure about. Placements here. So one thing is this person can just live over here, and that's probably fine by me. Okay, we're meeting in a few hours, but this is fine. This can be a little power supply loop. Maybe that's bad, but okay, so we actually want to switch this then. Nope. This. Maybe? Maybe. I don't worry too much about ground because there's a whole ground plane. So the thing we would want in this case is you really want it by the pin. Like as close to the pin as possible. Which is sort of awkward positioning, and maybe this gets like unpleasantly tight. That's a lot of components in a small area. I gotta get some fancier tweezers. That's a good thing to buy. Some fancy tweezers. Remind me to buy fancy tweezers. You can spend any amount of money on tweezers, which I think is funny. It's just one of those things that... Okay. I think you typically want like a pretty fat trace for these two, but all my traces are fat, so I'm not going to worry that much about it. And then we need to ground these. So one of these is easy to ground. We could also just add vias above them. And for now, just do vias. I'm sure during review, it will be apparent that I need to change everything, so. Okay, you grounded, you grounded. I really find PCB design really relaxing. Like it's a meditative thing. It's kind of like a puzzle solving thing. I think it's like aesthetically nice. It's like this thing that I used to get, that I associate with like monks, like doing illuminated manuscripts or like sand mandalas, where there's this kind of meditative, it's weird that via, why does this via look different? Why do those vias look different? Isn't that weird? But it's kind of a meditative thing. I used to think the same way about certain kinds of like animation and rotoscoping when I used to do that. I gotta fix all the labels and everything. Okay, add 2 more of these and call this board ready-ish for review with some tidying up. We decided that we want ground on top. 5 volts is on. Where did we put these? There? Ish? No. Is this right? Looks pretty right. And then route. Got. That what we did? We added 2 vias. And do I care how big my vias are? I don't personally, but maybe I should. I don't really need 2 vias there, but again, it's my assumption that these things. Okay, how we doing? No errors. Design rules check. So the biggest thing about this board right now is all 5 volts, and so these LEDs, these LEDs will be powered at 5 volts pulled from this pen, and like that's a real question. So I should probably, can I do like a, I don't actually know if you can, like have a, maybe I don't even want that here actually. Just a note, because there is a consideration that I'm considering, a considerable consideration for, that's a lot of protection diodes, but those are pull-up resistors. Why is this capacitor slightly to the left of where it's supposed to be? Why is that? Can I make a note here? Some kind of a notes? Like, or is there like some actual proper way to I want to like add a sticky note, you know? I want to cram a sticky note in here. Fidget spinner. Can we just update everything that needs an update? Is that what this does? Or is that the filter? Looks like the filter. Stonecrop, how's it going? Stonecrop, I've had some unbelievable Balatro runs. I thought of sending you pictures. Like, I just had one where I got a Naninf. I made it. I defeated Anti-39, not Anti-39, wherever we were stuck, like Anti-26, 27, but then got stuck on 32 because it wasn't a per KO run. But then I did have another separate cryptid run. Like, I've had my vengeance. But I thought we could all maybe use a break from hundreds of hours of Balatro streaming. I think it is a great game. I think it is really, really good. I think it's fun. There's definitely like a puzzle solving math element. I think I definitely went through it. I think for me, I probably had like, which is really interesting because I can't name too many other games I've had this with, like levels of enjoyment of different levels of engagement where like the game really changed. And you know, there's often that notion of like, oh yeah, once you break through the skill level, the game changes. I feel like I had 3 or 4 of those with Balatro, which is not it seems like a more than normal. This is kind of lame because I don't really want just like a text box. Can I? Well, maybe that's what I have to have. Maybe I'll put questions elsewhere, some other list. It'd be kind of nice to have it here, so during a review, I just know it's here. I guess that's what we do. Annoying. I mean, I want like a just want to add like a like something specifically for notes. Maybe that is really the only way to do that. Okay, annoying. Oh, really? What was your game company like? I have released a number of games. I'm not just very interested in like, I don't know. I'm not interested in like, maybe the most charitable way to put it is like, I'm not as interested in game design personally as I am in designing experiences. And games are, you know, not that games can't be experiences, but those are kind of different metrics. Like designing a game for enjoyability is a bit different than designing an experience. And I think I'm more of an experienced designer. And when I've tried to design games, I've like enjoyed designing the experience of it, but designing the game part hasn't necessarily been the part I enjoyed, like levels and puzzles and mechanics and things like that. Systems I kind of like, but that said, you know, there's somebody out there to like anything. If you make something and you like it, somebody else will like it. Almost assuredly. Okay. Well, this is lame. I don't really want to do this, but I will just do this to move on with my life. And we'll just make this big. Okay. There's my little notes box. How's that? That sounds cool. I like that. A terraforming game. Actually, okay, multiplayer. Actually, both of you. Skojo, are you still here? I have a question for you two. I have a question for the two of you. So I've been working on, if you're still here, Skojo. If not, I'll just ask you, Stonecrop. But actually, I would like an opinion on this. So, you'll recall, did I break this fully? Skojo probably has to work. Did I break this fully? What happened? Was this not working? Whatever browser I'm in. Why am I in Chrome? Why am I in Chrome? Ever, actually. Maybe it worked in Firefox. Nope. No. No, there it is. Okay. Distracted. I mean, I wouldn't say this is profitable work. Yes, you distracted me, but profit is not really why I do this work. Like, it's for the... I do a ton of work with the Children's Museum of Pittsburgh, and I love it. I mean, it's my favorite. It's stressful sometimes. It's my favorite client to work with, but I charge them a pretty substantially reduced rate, and meaning half. And I get I'm not an electrical engineer by any means, so this stuff takes me longer than usual. And worst of all, I just get into it and spend way too much time. And so my rate is already reduced, and then I kind of reduce it myself by taking longer and longer to do things to make them look the way that I want them to look. And so that's on me. Anyway, the thing is, so I've been working on this goofball thing, right? The thing where we can just take any puzzle from Sudoku Pad and just bring it into 3D. And it's silly, but I think it's funny and I like it. So the thing I was now starting to do is think about, like, okay, how do I want to do the mapping? Like, meaning, like, if this is for streaming or whatever, how am I going to work in Sudoku Pad, but be able to have this as, like, whatever I want it to be, some overlay or background or thing in the corner or what, I don't know what it is, but I want real-time connectivity between the two. And so I was just thinking about that problem. And then I was realizing, oh, if I'm already building that, I essentially have to build some networking strategy for Sudoku Pad on my computer to talk to this thing. And then I was like, if I'm already building that, I'm building a way for one Sudoku Pad instance to talk to another. And so in line with your multi-user terraforming thing, and I wonder if Skojo would ever do this on stream, a multi-user solve where, I mean, it would not quite be of the realm of like, in the realm of like Twitch solves Sudoku or whatever, although maybe I should just do that. But so yeah, Skojo, what would you think about this? So I mean, like, what would be the ideal? Imagine, there's a few ways to think about it. Probably the easiest way that I could think about it is it's essentially a mod for Sudoku Pad that lets you kind of join a channel. So you would just go to Sudoku Pad, you know, for whatever puzzle you wanted. And it would probably be a Grease Monkey thing or Violent Monkey or whatever. And there'd be just a way to say, like, join channel or whatever, like join channel. And so then your board would then be shared with everybody else's board, and anything that happened on someone else's board would come to you. And I mean, I guess there's obviously, you can think of competitive ways to do this where you could just be like competing against each other with a 2-player thing. But I think it's way more silly if like everybody could be the baseline version as I'm seeing it. And there's a lot of other words, but you know, like a blind team solve, right? So like on stream, you would open up the puzzle, and then whoever you personally invited, whether it's everyone on your stream or a few other people, they would open Sudoku Pad and they would have the exact same board. You'd have a shared board. Is that fun? I don't think it'd be that hard for me to do. I mean, it's basically just heat for Sudoku Pad. And it could be built to be Twitch specific, where it's like you do it through the Twitch browser, but it feels maybe more fun if it's just like straight up networked Sudoku Pad. I don't know. You gotta think about it. Oh, Sven has made something like that? Oh, has he? Okay, well, if that exists, then forget it. Forget it. Sven always ahead of me. Like Sudoku Pad multiplayer or something? Oh, Stonecrop, but you're thinking of an authored, I see. You're thinking of like an authored puzzle for that environment. I was thinking of just like a multiplayer code hangout. Okay, so it looks like, oh, it looks like in the fall he was working on multiplayer Sudoku Pad. Well, then maybe I never have to do this. Okay, I see Stonecrop. So you're talking about like specifically authored for. That's cool. But it looks like Sven's ahead of me again, yet again.
What's going on?
Wait, I thought I saw like a bunch of windows open. I wonder what he's using. Okay, maybe I shouldn't build this because it exists. But I still think there's something to it. So anyway, I'll think about it. But maybe there's also a version where it does make sense to do a more streamy version or more heat-ish version where just viewers are able to do it. I don't know. Okay, what are we doing over here? Are we done with this thing? Looks done. Looks like a PCB to me. I mean, certain things I don't like about it. I want holes here, actually. That is a thing I should add. And there's no measurements for that, unfortunately. What are you working on now, Stonecrop? Your 2 new projects? Am I distracting you from productive work? This is a cool product. I wish the documentation was ever so slightly better. I mean, there's a lot of things I would change about it, actually, but it's pretty cool that just like a person designed this. Where is the... Like, dimensions are given for everything except for the holes. I can make some assumptions about those holes. I guess I could measure the holes. Like, they look to be 1 mil from the edge. Don't they? You follow that line. Actually, maybe slightly less, huh? How big are those holes? Are they clearance holes for 2.5 millimeter screws? Four mounting hole. Okay, so those are 440 screws, which is funny. So a clearance hole for a 440 is almost the same as a clearance hole for a 3 millimeter. And it's almost 1/8 of an inch, which is 0.125 mil. So we could that's hard to do, unfortunately, with the way this is placed, isn't it? That's not a good place for this to be. Why is it there? But it does make it centered so it's easier to... Yeah, boy. Okay, let's not do that. How about... If we place it there, it appears to be a measurement that is meaningful, and then we can move this. And this, perhaps? No. This? X. And this, perhaps? So we would be... Actually, it's not here, then. It's, how could we do that? In the footprint? I'm going to edit the footprint. Because what we need, then... We can't place a hole. Can we? Sorry, it's 125 mil. Is that right? That doesn't seem right. Yeah, it's 125 mil. Wait, where's my hole? Come back. Like this? Does that look right or wrong? It kind of looks wrong to me. Oh no! Well, I'm glad to hear that. It sounded like you were worried that you would have, with the new project, that you would have less time for personal project. Skojo, what are we gonna do? Gotta get you some employees. You're writing a tool to help people with land design with their ranch farm for maximum passive water retention percolation without ruining access to path. That sounds like your terraforming game. Sounds like you're just making your game. Okay, we have to go here and we have to do the library update thing, which is a little bit annoying. Okay, do those holes look right? Really? Do they really look right? They kind of look right. I don't think it's, I mean, I guess I can like print this out on paper and try to match it, or I can measure it with calipers. It's just frustrating that I'm going to claim that that hole is actually smaller. Like it might actually be a number 4 clearance hole. Dude, that's cool. Your West Texas ranch. So like actually, I mean, there's a free fit and there's a close fit, and we're in the middle of that range. Like we're like drill size 31 or whatever. So I don't know. That's probably about the right hole size. It's just it may not be positioned quite right. The thing that is annoying is that's gonna have to be standoffs. There's a couple ways to approach that. It's probably standoffs, and then this board sits on the standoffs, maybe. I did not mean to work on this particular board the whole time. I was going to start on a new board. Could fix the labels on here, but I actually do want to start on some new boards. That's cool, Stonecrop. I mean, I am broadly a fan. I don't know how to put this exactly. I like, people advocate for work-life balance and separation and things like that. And that's like not a bad thing, but I also actually like it when things you are interested in can permeate all things. And that's not to say fully that like if there's a thing you love, you should do it for work, because that can definitely make you not love it. But I like it when like sort of naturally interests align such that like they can find ways to crop up in all places and aren't just kind of like only for free time or only for work or whatever. Okay, wait a minute, Skojo, this is a Sudoku setting game. A Sudoku setting game? Then who solves them? The enemies? The skeletons in the dungeon? Okay, first of all, let me say, $1 trillion idea, right? I feel like you're onto something that no one has quite done, because we've seen so many games that are like this but that, like Dicey Dungeons or whatever, or like so many games where like, it's a card game mechanic for this roguelite whatever thing, like, or even Balatro, where it's superficially a poker game or whatever. So finding a way, I mean, it's funny actually, as you say that idea, part of what I was thinking about in doing the 3D Sudoku was the game Battle Chess. Was like, it's chess, but the queen will kill the bishop. I like that idea. Stonecrop. So the thing is, there's obviously an infinite number of games where you just play the game. There's a lot of games that, or not even a ton. So there's lots of games where you're like simulating doing something. And I'm not talking like Power Washing Simulator. I'm talking about like Guitar Hero, where it's like, there's an activity that you might enjoy but maybe the skills ceiling seems too high or whatever. And then like you can play it more on Rails. So there are lots of things where it's like, here's an on Rails version of this, driving games, whatever. Here's an on Rails version. There are games that are on Rails versions of creative processes. I'm thinking very specifically of like Mario Maker, for example, where it's like, oh, the video game Mario Maker you think you're a game designer, but you're playing a game in which you're a game designer. Like it's you're play acting as a game designer. And I don't enjoy those games. And this I can hear the bias in what I'm going to say. I'm not trying to be disparaging. I don't enjoy those things because I don't take pleasure in pretending to make things because I make things. And I don't say that with judgment, because some people will enjoy pretending to make things, and there's other things I enjoy pretending to do, but I don't enjoy pretending to make video games or whatever. But a lot of the things I make are very specifically, I make a musical experience with like invisible bumpers that make you feel like you're making music. So you're playing like you're a composer. Mario Maker is a good example of that, because it is both things, right? Where Mario Maker, there were a ton of people who just wanted to play the act of level design, like play like they were level designers with a very constrained cool toolkit that was gamified. And then there was the part of the audience that wanted to play those levels, and it was like both of those things. It sounds challenging to do both. And I'm trying to think of anything. There's plenty of games that had UGC, user generated content tools, to let you like make maps for Doom or levels for Little Big Planet or whatever. But that's a good example, because the company that made Little Big Planet, when they tried to make Dreams, where you could just kind of make anything, for whatever reason, it didn't quite catch on. So the idea of a game where some part of the audience wants to find it fun to set puzzles in a gamified way, and some part of the audience wants to play those puzzles, sounds great. It sounds challenging to make that take hold. I'm actually thinking a little more of like Zachtronics games, where you are playing the act of like assembly language programming that actually feels very akin to setting a Sudoku puzzle, like Human Resource Machine and those kinds of things, where like you're just gamifying the act of like doing the thing, but maybe also learning in the process. I don't know. I'm really interested. So oh, that's cute. Yeah, the collaborative music, I haven't done as much of like collaborative composition. I always think of the Aaron Copeland did a lot of artwork like that, maybe like early mid 2000s, of like, he did that Johnny Cash video where everybody contributed different frames and did like this bicycle built for two thing, I think, where a bunch of people sang pieces. I haven't done as much with like a large scale collaborative outcome. It's more like the collaboration is like, I build a thing and then everything somebody plays with it. This is the very like intense auteur version, which I don't always think this way, but a way to think of it is like, yes, I've built this musical framework and everyone who creates something with it is part of my system to create. Okay, these holes may be too big, but I also don't care. They also almost certainly are too big, just for the studs that I would use. Does Diddy still exist anywhere? Ditty, D-I-D-T-T-Y, everyone, not P. Diddy. Okay, I would like to start on some other PCBs, perhaps. There's so many. There's a thing I don't actually know how to do in Fusion, although I'm pretty sure there is a way, is to have two boards in one design. Because that could be helpful. Panelize multiple. Select the layout in the board, the Fusion to panelize. No, not what I want. Feels like this is not a thing that Fusion is going to do properly. Yeah, I think that's so. That idea, I think, is great, Skojo. I guess I'm still asking the question of like, who is doing the solving, or does it even matter? Like, is solving even part? Oh yeah, don't put a 3 in the corner. Something bad will happen. Like is the, which is fine. If the answer is solving is irrelevant in this game, I think that's sort of funny, because then it gets a little bit in the realm of like, even with the theme, like Dungeon Keeper, is that what that game was called? Where you're not the person trying to crawl in the dungeon, you're like designing the dungeon, right? Almost like a tower defense game, or like, but it would also be, I guess, if it's a set of puzzles that are already, if you're trying to get them to set puzzles that conform to puzzles you've already designed in a secret way, versus just sort of like, if you're trying to get them to design a specific known puzzle and they have to arrive at that conclusion, or if they just have to arrive at something that meets the requirements of that, for example. I gotcha. Did I ever tell you about the Sudoku solver I wrote? Surely I've talked about this. In the evolutionary programming class I took. Surely I've talked about this. Did I ever talk about this? Stonecrop, I'm sure you've never heard this. I think it's funny. There's not really much I can show from it. So the thing that I think is funny about it is I took this evolutionary programming class, and the instructor said, here is a library that validates whether a Sudoku puzzle is valid or not. And you have to write an evolutionary algorithm that will arrive at a solved Sudoku puzzle. And you can only use like the fundamentals of evolution, of like, there are generations, there are mutations, and he made it a competition where it was groups in the class, and I of course wanted to be in a group by myself. The thing is, everybody else, I think, failed the assignment, because every other group did something that presupposed what a correct Sudoku would be. Meaning, every other group was like a god designing something that they knew would. It's like every other group was God putting a single-celled organism on the planet, knowing the trajectory that would get it to be a human, which is not how evolution works. Evolution works like it arrives there or it doesn't. Like presupposing, meaning every time they did a mutation, they mutated things in a way that corrected them. Like they would mutate with intention to like deliberately improve, and that is fundamentally not how evolution works. So it is my opinion to this day that everybody else failed the assignment, but unfortunately the metric was just how fast you could solve, because they would, like during the evolution phase, they would look at something and it'd be like, this number's not actually valid, we'll just change it to something that is valid instead of just changing it to some other arbitrary thing, right? Changing it to something that is valid presupposes the outcome, which is not how evolution works. I refused to do that and had such a hard time with it, and I kept hitting a local maxima, meaning at about 80% good enough, it would stall out forever. And this is a frequent problem in evolution, where something is like, well, obviously it could be better. Like you could look at some organism, be like, well, if only it did this, it would have a better chance of survival. But like, evolution isn't like an optimization. It's just like a continual set of fitness tests. And like once your fitness is good enough, it will stall out. And so once I got to about like 80% solved, like I could get, and mind you, I'm making generations of Sudoku puzzles, tens of thousands of grids, living and dying in seconds, trying to evolve to something. And I got so frustrated with it because it kept, they would get close to perfection, 80-90%, and then they would stall because mutations weren't good or bad at that point. They were just neutral. Like for every mutation that took you somewhere that was good, another mutation took you there. And I started to have this realization From lack of stress, well, you could say that, right? So you could say like, well, in that case, the fitness test was not rigid enough. But if you make the fitness test too rigid, you'll just wipe everybody out, right? Or you will do the fitness test so rigidly that one organism gets through that improves to a certain point, but then either it will wipe out because it can't. Your fitness test can't be perfection, right? Like it has to be trending towards perfection, but it can't be perfection or you'll just never hit it. And even if you have something that gets extremely close, its children will mutate in a way that are just as likely to go away as forward. So anyway, I started thinking about it in biblical terms of God in the Old Testament, like the Abrahamic God getting so mad at everybody that he wipes everybody out with a flood, or getting so upset with Sodom and Gomorrah that he kills everybody, or getting so upset with the Tower of Babel that he destroys it and confounds the language. Like this petulant child view of the Old Testament where he's continually angry and he just like throws everything away. And so I decided to write my algorithm based on that. So my algorithm was based on, every generation you choose some operon, like row, column, or block, and you swap two values within that operon based on a mutation rate. So you're just swapping things, almost like genes. If you're thinking of, rather than a double helix, a Sudoku puzzle has 9 rows, 9 columns, and 9 blocks, and so boxes. And you would just be swapping the genes, just genetic mutations. And that wasn't good enough. So every 250 generations, I would have some insane event happen. And again, this is inspired by like biblical plagues or biblical floods or whatever act of a deity to like punish the people because they weren't as good as they were supposed to be. So I would increase the mutation to 100%. So if you started to stall, there would just be this incredibly huge mutation all of a sudden that could make things worse, but it could get you out of a stall. Every 3 epochs, which in my language was 750 generations, gamma rays from space would scramble an operand in half the population. So it would just go in and just mess with your DNA. Just half the population would suddenly have like some part of them just totally mutated. And then every 6 epochs, most of the population has a percentage of their genes scrambled by a virus. So there's some outbreak, some viral outbreak that most of the people will have like some part of them change. Because remember, the mutation isn't necessarily happening to everyone, except in this instance. In this instance, some portion of everyone is scrambled, and then every eon, a meteor would come and kill almost everybody. So this was kind of the Noah's Ark moment. Like if I stalled for long enough, I would have a catastrophic event that would kill almost everything and start the process anew. And the thing that was pretty amazing is this worked. Nobody else's algorithm worked because, again, they cheated. And when they didn't cheat, it just stalled forever. It was only by applying sort of, and so Stormcrop, your coffee shop, only by saying, yeah, we didn't have enough stresses, I was adding these like big external, once in a few hundred generations kinds of thing that would come in and sort of like add one-time major external stresses that aren't the same as just you're the same organism and you're sitting in the jungle and you have your generations and you kind of stall at a certain point. This meant like periodically there was effectively like there was a volcanic, like what happened in the real world, right? Is there's a major volcanic event, or there is some impact event, or there's some other flora or fauna that dramatically changes the environment. I think a thing that people, not necessarily everybody knows about or remembers, is that when we talk about humans ruining the earth, we're not even close to what the cyanobacteria did. The cyanobacteria, the first organisms oxygen is a harsh chemical, and for most of the first organisms, oxygen was poison. And when life forms evolved that started spewing oxygen out, like the oceans rusted and turned blood red, and it killed like everything on Earth. It was the great oxygenation event. Like, these organisms killed everybody, like basically killed everything except for themselves. And then now we're all evolved from these like little oxygen poison monsters. That still happens actually, like the like the yeah, like this thing where just like there's like crazy amounts of oxygen. How do you explain it? Is it just iron and oxygen? Oh yeah, it's this water that is extremely rich in iron, but devoid of oxygen. But when it is exposed now by like melting glaciers, all that iron rusts and it just turns into like blood. Like all the oceans were blood for a while because of this. Anyway, I find that fascinating. And I've once again distracted myself fully from what I was doing, but I think we said this was mostly done. Except for the 12-volt question, which is annoying because you can either do 12 volts in a really efficient way that requires a lot of components, or you have to do 12 volts in a really inefficient way that requires a lot of heat consideration. The current is so low on this, like so crazy low. I'm not actually that worried about the current. But if we do that, we'd probably, maybe we'd put the like, the other problem is this is all audio hardware, this board that sockets in here. And so the question becomes like, well, where do I put this like power circuitry where it's hopefully not going to mess with the audio? Unclear. It's unclear. Let's instead go here. What do we want to work on now? Party Planets is probably going to have 3 PCBs. Trolley Tunnel is probably going to have 2 PCBs. One of them is the motor control, and one of them is the traffic control. It's a bummer because I really do want 2 boards in one. There may just not be a great way to do that, sadly. So, yeah, lame. They both could have 12 volts too. Gosh, they really are very close. I think I'm only going to do 1 board for that, because there's not that much I/O. I think it's just because there's probably 4 of these. Like it doesn't seem wise. Someone might be mad at me, but okay, let's have a new schematic. So the things we care about on this are, we want a pico. For sure. And this pico is going to be responsible for talking to a traffic light that unfortunately probably has more wires than I care about. Depending on how I do the switching, if I have all the components switching here, individual MOSFETs for each. Each one. 3 MOSFETs. We could say it is 3. Gosh, that's still a lot of circuitry. I mean, it's... That's probably what it's going to be, though. It's probably 3 of these. This will be a little different, but probably 3 of these. Actually, let's just take this for a second. Let's go here. Oh, let's go here. I did that wrong. That's okay. Okay, so like we probably need I think I do want these all together. Epic, oops, red, drain, green, drain, traffic, nope, traffic, yellow, drain, probably this. But then there's probably one connector, and that one connector needs what? It needs 5 volts. It needs power, whatever the voltage is. I don't know. We'll call it 5 volts per second, which is probably going to be 12. I got to figure out 12 volts. And then this connector, probably Conmolex C grid SL. So this is 7555 pos 2. We need is 7555 pos 4, I think. Which is not what I want, really. But that's fine. So a 7555 4 position. Probably this is what we want. I'm pretty undecided on the... I think I don't like the order I did that. Are the drain labels correct? Well, good question. Let's think about that. So if we look at, I think that's generally for an in-channel MOSFET, which that is what these are. I think we're correct. It's a little confusing to me, at least, that ground is your, because I'm sorry, just the green yellow. No, I did those backwards. You're right. I'm sorry. That's just me being silly. You're right. I thought you were asking if my MOSFETs were labeled correctly, which was also a valid question, because that does seem like a mistake I would make. Okay, but just to confirm that, drain is... That is the drain, and the gate, when closed, is going to connect the drain to the source. The thing that always trips me up is source is ground in this way, and we always incorrectly have the notion that electrons travel from positive to negative, which is not true. Like all of electronics are backwards by convention, except I feel like MOSFETs label it in a way that actually is correct. Okay, so we want that, and then I'm second guessing myself on the way I did this stuff on the other board, which I may change. It is my policy to always make pin 1 ground, then have power, then have signal. And I didn't follow that here because it's so weird that a drain is like almost like a ground, but it's not ground. So I shouldn't do that. So what we will want here, I think, is we'll do the, actually I can do the, is there a button for this? Break them all out. Add a label. That label is too big. I don't know why it defaults to this. There's a way to change that here. Okay, so let's just make this plus 5 volts. I also don't know if I have red, green, blue in the right order, but that's a problem for another day. Traffic light, that's the red, green. What did I say? Did I do red, yellow, green? I think that's the order they are on a device. Okay, so then this is going to be kind of annoying. No. Just because we got to add our... Shh. Don't do that. Come on, buddy. Okay, we got to add our things. And by things, I mean... That's not good. Dang it. Oh, Fusion. Why are you doing that? Just... Let's do it this way. Even though it looks a little silly, I think we'll be slightly more consistent. We just need to take all of these to ground somewhere. I feel like I have a convention for that. That looks better than this. Why does this look so silly? Why does this look silly beyond belief? It has arrived. Oh my gosh. I hope it actually works. I did test it before I put it in the box, and then I second guessed myself and thought I should have tested that again. Okay, we need more of these dummies all over the place. These TVS diodes cramping my style. Wait, where'd you go? Not that. Can we like do something like this? Come on, get all these. Frustrating. Get over here. Come on. Okay, you got it. Okay. It works. It does generally expect you to have, I didn't add a pen tool button, and it does expect you to have alphanumeric on. So some slight caveats. It is certainly possible if you try it and you feel like there would be a meaningful software change, it would not be that hard to change the software, like some aspects of the mapping of the buttons. I am a bit limited just in terms of, you know, I can only do what Sven has exposed as keyboard shortcuts. Okay. These are our TVS diodes. These all have to go to ground. No, I want the whole shebang. You think that really connected? Seems to have. Okay. That means we can get rid of this. So that gives us a Pico, it gives us one connector, and it gives us one traffic light, right? So that's fine. And then let's also, just in case, I want this same switch circuit, swap the placement of the keys. You would. They do pull off gently if you pull them off straight, because these are just 3D printed. You gotta be, they're like maybe slightly fragile. A thing I thought of doing that I didn't do was use like a certain kind of firmware that would let you do that really easily, but doing it with an Arduino is not that challenging, and I'm pretty sure I could certainly walk you through it, because I think I just have all of that. 2 years ago. I worked on this 2 years ago. Here's my mapping. Yeah. So the mapping is like keypad 1, keypad 2, keypad 3, Z, that kinds of things. What placement? What placement would you want to swap? Is it to put the 0 in the center? Is it to change the numbering from top to bottom? You like low numbers on the bottom. Wait, that's definitely the convention on a real keypad for sure, right? I went with the Sudoku convention. Have you written software to an Arduino before? You haven't. So it there would be two steps. One of them is just physically pull the keys off and stick them where you want, which should be fine. You just have to be a little careful because they're 3D printed keys. And then the second thing would be this GitHub repository has all the code. And it's relatively straightforward because Arduino is designed to be, you've got an escape room. This is going to change your life when you get into using an Arduino. It involves opening this Eno file in the Arduino software, which you download for free. So this like kind of IDE that you download and open that in. The one thing that I think is maybe very slightly annoying, did I put it in the instructions? Didn't. Is I think there's one board definition you have to add, because I'm pretty sure yeah, because gosh, now I can't 100% remember. I'm pretty sure I used Raspberry Pi Picos in this particular chip. There's just slightly different instructions depending on which chip I used, I guess is the summary here. presumably, you won't have to open this. Presumably I use the same... presumably I use the same chip on all three. All four. It would be weird if I didn't. But also, possibly a thing I might have done. As evidenced by the if def there, which meant at some point there was more than one chip. Ooh, maybe does not open with... I can't remember. I can't actually remember if I can even open it with keys on. Oh no, I broke it. Bummer. I broke my case. Kind of wanted a yellow one anyway. That's unfortunate. The press fit is... This was one of my first times, in fact, maybe my first, I was going to say successful, but now this doesn't look very successful, attempts at doing a press fit. What does that say? Why doesn't this say which board it is? Uh-oh. Oh no, I broke my board for nothing. Or my enclosure for nothing. It will mostly still work. It does mostly still work. Yeah, zero rush right now, and I have to leave soon shortly also, so we can table it, but or I can write some instructions at some point, but it shouldn't be terribly difficult. There's one thing I just can't remember actually. In terms of, or some other day when you catch me on stream, I can probably just do it quickly on stream. I just can't remember, like, is this actually a Zao? I think it is. It wants to be. Native serial port can't contain. Anyway. It's not a hard process. It's just there's one additional step that makes it like slightly more unusual, but we can definitely figure it out. Okay, but have a good day at work. I hope it's not too stressful without adequate help. Wrong. I was gonna come here and I said I wanted the switch circuit. Because this is gonna be the button pad, right? We did it. Oh, a lot of TDS diodes. You too. You get an RC filter as well. Nope. Right. 3 MOSFETs, and each MOSFET gets resistors and odds and ends, and okay. 2 yellows from position 4, probably not. Probably I've made other silly mistakes. Stonecrop, your eagle eyes. Okay, what did I do wrong here? Yes, of course not. Of course not. The thing I think that is tripping me up is I normally think of RGB, where I think of, in my mind, green is in the middle. And so I think I keep like inverting things as I go. Okay. That seems better. Thank you. I'm pretty sure a traffic light is red, yellow, green. But RGB continues to stymie me. You go to the rope switch, as does a capacitor and one specific resistor. And then certain of these resistors go with every MOSFET gets a 10K and a 1K. This is a mess. Every MOSFET gets a 10K and a 1K. There's got to be a better way to do this, right? Right? Which one are you? Also, I've done this backwards also, by the way. Okay. You go here, and you go here. You go... It doesn't really matter, does it? It does. Where do you go? Here? There's unquestionably a more elegant way to do this. I'm just trying to, like, broadly organize. Looks like you go here. And then, don't you need a 10K? 10K just goes to ground, so it doesn't really matter. The 1Ks matter. Okay, that's not unreasonable. That is for a physical switch we may or may not use. This is MOSFETs for controlling the traffic lights, right? Is there anything else this is supposed to do? How does a PIR sensor work? Never actually used one. Have one. So what does it do? I see. So you pull it up. So is it effectively a switch? It's not, because we have to power it. I see. I see. So it's like a proximity sensor. So it is a 3-pin thing. So we would need the PIR sensor would need 3 pins as opposed to a switch that would need 2. But it goes low. You could actually use the same thing. You could use the same. Yeah. Okay, we can use the same switch for this. It just needs also to have it just needs one more pin. That's what it needs. When do I have to actually leave? I need to be somewhere at 1 p.m. Probably need to stop streaming very soon. So I'm just going to swap this, I think, with the Stonecrop. I appreciate all the time you spent hanging out with me. Definitely, as I said, years ago, this was a strategy of mine, is to like force myself to just sit and do something with the accountability of one or more people in chat just existing. And so I do find it helpful. So in this scenario, this is funny. This is ground, right? This is ground. Oh, thank you. This also is not how I would normally... No, I said that already, that this is backwards from how I would normally want to switch. So we're going to say that we want... That's funny, though. Did I do that on those other switches? That is just... This is clearly ground. Did I do pin 2 ground on those? No. No way. Did I? I did. But I think I told myself it didn't matter. Because it's just... Honey. This doesn't really matter in that case, but that's unusual for me to have done that. I wonder why I did that. Huh. Well, I don't really want to do that here. I want ground to be... my default pin 1. I think. And so we're saying that that's our signal line. And we want... Nope. Ground to be our main buddy. No problem with pasting things. Nope. There we go. Okay. Thusly, something like this. And then 5 volts in this case. I don't know. Like the conventions are a little bit weird. I tend to prefer ground as pin 1 because there's basically always a ground. Not always, but basically always. And I don't know that the convention, like, I don't know. I should look that up. Okay, so now we are saying that we have, annoyingly, we're probably saying we also want a protection diode on ground on 5 volts as well. We don't need one on ground, but actually a way to do that would just be this way. Pin 1 is ground, pin 2 is 5 volts, which has a TVS to ground. This may or may not be 5 volts, I'm not actually sure. It's not a pin we would actually use if we do a switch, but this way I can test a PIR or a switch or nothing. And so we'll see. Maybe my convention of pin 1 is ground is an insane convention. Maybe it should always be power if it exists, then ground if it exists, and then signal if it exists. But I don't know. And then this is also ground, by the way. Okay. And then the last thing we were missing is a way to control a motor. And so depends on the motor we use. But the easiest answer is a DC motor with, that's not right. A DC motor with a little H-bridge breakout that already has all the business on it. Like, I think I even have some that have little heat sinks and... Is that true? I thought mine had cute little heat sinks. What's that company? I Let Go Motor. Maybe mine don't have heat sinks. Oh, these come with little. That's a stepper motor driver, though. These are fancy people. Those are stepper. I mean, I could use steppers. Could use steppers. Yeah, I have some of these. I can't believe if they came with heat sinks or not. So, but a little motor driver board. These, of course, don't have measurements. Of course not. Do they? Measurements? 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 They probably stole this design from somebody. And I say that just because I feel like this company steals designs all the time. Okay. Like we want, maybe that's more of a spark fun thing, like as a board that sockets into a thing. Yeah, this is what the high let go or whatever. We got to add the motor driver, and we also need, I'm thinking of trying CAN bus, which seems fun. Okay. This is a dual motor driver. Dual driver. Oh, same thing, but with headers. I see. So, is this the guy? TB, whatever. Yeah. So it'd probably be smart to do this. It'd be a little bit of a waste. I wonder if SparkFun already has... maybe it has just the chip, but I actually want the like driver board. But I don't think they tend to do that. SparkFun, I mean. It'd be handy if they did. Okay, gotta leave soon. Yeah, I don't think it's in there. SparkFun boards. I think that means it's the components that go on SparkFun boards, not that it's the board as a component, you know. Which is not the biggest deal. It just means you got to redraw. You just got to draw it if you want to make this socket into I got a schematic, but I actually want the footprint. I mean, the other option is it's not that many components. It looks like it's a board. I see 2 capacitors, 3 capacitors. Is that really all this takes? Really? No, what's this thing? Is that a giant diode? Where's the... I see this board. I see a bunch of connectors. I see a capacitor, capacitor, capacitor. Is that a fat capacitor? What is this? What is that thing? 1 capacitor, 2 capacitor. That doesn't look like a capacitor to me. But I also don't know anything. Is it a 10 UF? They do provide the Eagle files. What does this say? What's the... I mean, I still might socket it in just for repairability. Operating description. They have a sample circuit, whatever they call that. Circuit, you know, the thing. Reference circuit, that thing. It's an internal circuit. Test circuit. No, application circuits. Application circuits. Application circuits. Okay, typical application diagram. There's a capacitor. There's a capacitor. What does ZZ mean? I'm not very good at reading. Why did this has 4 capacitors? Why? I mean, why does the Spark friend not? Unless they're just like, let's just cap to ground, cap to ground, cap to ground is all I see in the schematic. But here, it looks like there's more caps to ground. Why do you think that is? It doesn't have like a minimal application diagram, it just has... Okay, well, it does mean that there's actually not much to this. You're kind of paying a lot, actually. I mean, just in terms of, this is a $14 board to break out a chip that's like probably $1, and then, if it's even that, and then some capacitors that are a few cents. This looks like a diode to me. But maybe it's a capacitor, and it's just directional. That's probably true. This is probably a big capacitor. So there's an appeal to use this because then I don't have to design it. And if anything fails, it's not because my circuit, it's just, this just sockets in. So we would need to add what? The motor driver and the CAN bus. I'll make a note. And then I gotta go. Never used CAN bus before, it seems fun. What did we do here? Just cram this in here. Okay. And what did we say? We just did this and added another diode. That's not the right switch. Uh-oh. That's wrong. One more time. Yeah, that's wrong. Wrong. I need to replace this. Bummer. It's kind of annoying to do. We need the Con Molex SL grid header position 3, but we need it to be this model. Now we switch here. That looks correct. And then we will have a connector for the motor, and then some kind of connector for the CAN bus, and that's all this board takes. And I think that's fine, and you don't have to populate it any differently. It can be populated exactly the same, even though there'll be 2 places that only use the motor and 2 places that only use the light switch, but that's 4 PCBs of the same design rather than 2 each of 2 different designs. And that sounds better to me. They all need CAN bus. They all need 12 volts. Yeah. This one, there'll be more room for the more fancy pants 12 volt circuit, I guess. Okay. Well, we made a little progress in a couple hours, right? What was that? That was under 2 hours. It was fine. And then the final set of boards is way more insane. And I think that I'm really not decided on what to do about that. The final PCB is 3 final PCB. One module. Maybe this is 3 separate PCBs, but there are inputs for 3 rotary encoders, which is kind of a lot of pins. We don't need the Z. Second module is there's inputs for 6 micro switches, which is kind of a lot. Not ideal, but yeah, 6 micro switches. There's probably a way. I was about to say, there's a way I could do it as like a keyboard matrix. I don't think I want to. That's a module, which that's not that bad. There's 6 inputs, and there's 6 micro switch inputs and 1 output for like a NeoPixel strip. Everything's 5 volt, no 12 volt. And then the center module is 2 encoders and 4 switches. Which is, as you can see, each of them has a number of switches and a number of encoders. So if I had a board that supported 6 switches and 4 encoders, that would be probably adequate and sounds better than, it's really kind of a big board. But maybe not insane. 6 switches on one side. Maybe. And 3 encoders on the other side. And a line out for the lights. Could be worse. This thing had more than that, right? This thing had 1 encoder and 6 switches, and each switch gets a protection circuit, and that's fine. Each encoder has TVS diodes, and that's fine. Ooh. Shoot. Bummer. I need... Okay, that's a question for another day. I'm really leaving. Skojo, you're gone, but thank you for stopping by. Stonecrop, thank you once again for hanging out. Thanks to anybody else who stopped by. Anybody else who's watching this in the future, although I don't really know. I don't know what you would gain from it. I don't know what you'll gain from watching this video, but I should make them more ASMR. Maybe we'll do a nighttime ASMR PCB design tonight. Or maybe we'll play more Balatro. Or maybe we'll play something called Sudoku. I've been hearing a lot about it. It's a multiplayer dungeon crawling game. It's weird because it is simultaneously a multiplayer dungeon crawling game, but also somehow like a farming, ranching, terraforming simulator. So it sounds pretty intriguing. Pretty interested in trying this new game called Sudoku. And I'm leaving. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you.